David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, the breaking news, the terrifying scene outside Boston and Cambridge, a gunman opening fire. The suspect armed with a semi-automatic rifle appearing to shoot at random. Drivers ducking for cover, hiding under seats, people frantically running for their lives. And what we know so far. Also breaking, the virus outbreak aboard that cruise ship. 18 passengers now brought back to the U.S. And tonight, the news coming in, one American passenger testing positive for the hantavirus, another showing mild symptoms. So tonight, where those Americans have been taken to quarantine and for how long. Tonight, the war in Iran, President Trump now saying the ceasefire is on life support, calling Iran's counterproposal garbage. The president now floating the idea of suspending the federal gas tax. Tonight, the horror on the runway, the person hit on the runway by a passenger plane.
We're stopping on the runway. We just hit somebody. We have an engine fire.
Smoke filling the cabin, the emergency evacuation of passengers, what airport officials have now confirmed. The urgent search at this hour after the deadly stabbing of a college student in her off-campus apartment building where her body was found. Tonight, the family now suing OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, saying their loved one was killed in a mass shooting where the shooter used AI for help, including allegedly how to load and shoot the gun. The images coming in, the massive fire growing in size in Florida tonight. The rooftop where the Beatles famously played live for the last time. What's about to happen there? Tonight, Diane Sawyer inside the hidden world of Richard Simmons, the final decade of his life after he disappeared from the public eye. What Diane discovered when she went to the home where he lived, greeted by the people who knew and loved him. Also tonight, hear Martin Short for the first time on his daughter's death and the nationwide chocolate recall. It's all ahead.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We begin tonight here with breaking news. The terrifying shooting just outside Boston, a gunman opening fire on the street in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The images coming in. The gunshots echoing on the street there. The suspect armed with a semi-automatic rifle appearing to shoot at random. Police racing to the scene. Drivers ducking for cover, hiding under seats. People frantically running for their lives. At this hour, we've learned at least one person was shot, and Matt Rivers leads us off.
Tonight, video circulating online shows a terrifying scene outside Boston.
Shooting randomly in the air, spraying cars, spraying everywhere, and people just started running.
A shooter in broad daylight brandishing a semi-automatic rifle. At one point, erratically pointing it at traffic, smashing a car window with the gun barrel, sending residents running for their lives.
We were getting reports of gunshots fired at 808 Memorial Drive.
It happened just after 1:30 this afternoon on Memorial Drive in the busy Boston suburb of Cambridge. Lisa Schill was in a school van on her way to pick up kids after classes.
We saw the guy walking down the street and raising like the gun, and he was shooting.
How many shots do you think you heard?
At least 15 or more.
Was it like rapid fire, like a...
Rapid. Like pow, 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 like that.
2 males in vehicles separately were struck by gunfire. The individual who was traveling along with that weapon who fired those shots, an individual named Tyler Brown. Mr. Brown is in custody at the hospital.
David, still very much an active scene tonight in Cambridge. Residents being asked to avoid the area, but authorities say there is no active threat to the community. David?
The images coming in from Cambridge, Massachusetts tonight. Matt, thank you. Also breaking tonight, the virus outbreak aboard that cruise ship. 18 passengers now brought back to the U.S. And tonight, the news coming in here. At least one American passenger testing positive now for the hantavirus. Another showing mild symptoms. And tonight, the 2 states where those Americans have now been taken to quarantine and for how long. Victor Oquendo from Omaha, Nebraska tonight.
Tonight, 18 passengers from that cruise ship at the center of the deadly hantavirus outbreak back on U.S. soil. 2 in Atlanta's Emory University Biocontainment Unit and 16 at the University of Nebraska in Omaha, where the first American to test positive for the virus has no symptoms but is now inside this special biocontainment unit. Another 15 passengers who have not tested positive in quarantine, where they will be watched for any symptoms, including 3 people from New York.
Let me be crystal clear. The risk of hantavirus to the general public remains very, very low. The Andes variant of this virus does not spread easily, and it requires prolonged close contact with someone who is already symptomatic.
In Atlanta, another passenger who developed symptoms on the flight home, arriving with their partner at Emory University Hospital. Passengers in the U.S. will now be screened. Those without symptoms can choose to quarantine for the next 6 weeks or self-monitor at home, but officials said they won't be on airplanes. Once a patient is cleared, they're asymptomatic and they want to go back home, will they be put on commercial flights?
As far as I know, there is no plan for any commercial travel for any of these patients at this point.
At least 3 people have died among 11 cases. The latest, a French and Spanish passenger from the ship. Today, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the U.S. government has been on top of the outbreak since day one.
We have this under control and we're not worried about it.
The president hopeful too.
It seems like it is not easy to spread. In fact, it's in certain ways very hard to spread. We've lived with it for years, many years, and we think we're in very good shape.
But Dr. Ashish Jha, who coordinated the White House COVID response, is now concerned the virus may spread more easily than initially thought.
We're just seeing emerging evidence, for instance, in conversations that several colleagues had with the doctor on the ship, who said that at least 3 of the people who got infected did not have close contact, and they may have had just casual contact sitting next to somebody for half an hour at a meal.
Which is why he believes everyone from the ship, including those who came home a few weeks ago, should be quarantined away from others.
I understand it's inconvenient for people, but they just went through a harrowing experience on a boat. I think a period of quarantining and observing everybody very closely is the right way to go.
Hantavirus can kill up to 40% of patients. A week ago, Jake Rosemarin, the first passenger to open up about his fear as that deadly outbreak was spreading.
All we want right now is to feel safe, to have clarity, and to get home.
Tonight, Jake sharing this update from quarantine, saying he's doing well, thanking his medical team in Omaha. David, we're outside the National Quarantine Unit in Omaha, where these 16 passengers are being closely monitored. It was a harrowing journey as they were evacuated from the ship and flown straight home. Those inside the quarantine unit will be here for the next few days. Once clear and asymptomatic, they can return home. David?
Let's hope they're all okay here in the days ahead. Victor, thank you. We turn now to the war in Iran. President Trump tonight saying the ceasefire with Iran is now on life support, calling Iran's counter-proposal garbage. And the president tonight now floating the idea of suspending the federal gas tax. Here's Rachel Scott now.
Tonight, President Trump says the ceasefire is on life support, rejecting Iran's peace proposal as a piece of garbage.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, "Sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living."
Iran took 10 days to respond to President Trump's one-page proposal meant to set the stage for peace talks. According to Iranian state media, their demands call for the U.S. to pay reparations, lift sanctions, and give them control of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran would not commit to any changes to its nuclear program until those conditions are met. Tonight, Iran's top negotiator warning our armed forces are ready to deliver a well-deserved response to any aggression. As the war drags on, passage through the Strait of Hormuz at a standstill. And gas prices stubbornly high, now hovering around $4.50 a gallon, up $1.55 since the war began. Today, President Trump said he's willing to suspend the federal gas tax of 18.4 cents a gallon for gasoline.
It's a small percentage, but it's still money.
The president can't suspend the gas tax on his own. He needs congressional approval. Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune says in the past he's not been a fan of the idea. But if President Trump wants to make an argument, I'm sure everybody will give him a chance and hear him out.
President Trump is heading to China tomorrow, a summit that has already been delayed once because of this war. And the president is fully aware that Chinese President Xi is a very close ally of Iran, David.
I'll be traveling as well, taking the broadcast to China. Rachel, we'll see you there. Now to that chilling scene on the runway in Denver, a person hit by a passenger plane about to take off. The emergency evacuation of passengers, what airport officials tonight are now confirming about the person on the runway. Here's Gio Benitez.
Tonight, this alarming security breach is raising serious questions after a trespasser seen here on surveillance video was killed by a Frontier Airlines jet speeding down the runway about to take off.
Tower Frontier 4345, we're stopping on the runway. We just hit somebody. We have an engine fire.
Just before 11:20 p.m. Friday, that passenger plane with 231 people on board was cleared for takeoff.
Frontier Flight 4345 Denver, RNF to Go Rock, 21 left, clear for takeoff.
At the same time, this person scaled a fence, making it onto the busy Denver International runway just 2 minutes later. They were killed by the plane's engine, the pilots aborting takeoff. The engine bursting into flames and smoke filling the cabin, the crew deploying emergency slides, panicked passengers scrambling, unaware of what just happened.
Everybody get away from the aircraft.
It felt like, getting in a big, giant fender bender.
Denver's airport facilities are twice the size of Manhattan, and officials say they are now reviewing its perimeter security program.
It's very expensive to put high security fencing around any airport, particularly one the size of Denver. This incident does not look like it was some random person walking through an open part of the fence onto that runway. It appears to be something much more deliberate.
And David, the FAA is now investigating. Many are asking how this person was able to gain access to one of the busiest runways in the country. David.
Gio Benitez, who covers aviation, thank you. Tonight, an urgent search underway for a suspect wanted in the deadly stabbing of a college student at the University of Washington in Seattle. Police say her body was found in the laundry room of her off-campus apartment building. A male suspect spotted running from the scene, the victim, a 19-year-old transgender woman. A student telling ABC News that all of the entrances in the building require a Bluetooth key through a smartphone app to open. Tonight here, the family now suing OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, saying their loved one was killed in a mass shooting where the shooter allegedly used artificial intelligence for help, including allegedly asking how to load and shoot the gun. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the family of one of the victims killed in last year's mass shooting at Florida State University is suing ChatGPT maker OpenAI, claiming the company's artificial intelligence was an active participant in helping the suspected killer plan the attack.
He literally utilized OpenAI and ChatGPT as his co-conspirator.
Footage showing the terror unfolding. The alleged gunman, 20-year-old student Phoenix Eichner, hunting and chasing people at the student union, killing 2, wounding 6. The new lawsuit claims that Eichner used ChatGPT to explain to him how to load and operate a shotgun, including how to turn the safety mechanism off. At one point, the lawsuit alleges the shooter asked how many fatalities it would take to get the most attention. According to the lawsuit, ChatGPT responded, replying that he was much more likely to get media coverage if children are involved. Even 2 to 3 victims can draw more attention. The lawsuit alleges OpenAI directly contributed to the murder of Tiru Chaba, a 45-year-old father of 2 who was killed in the attack. But OpenAI denies responsibility, saying, in this case, ChatGPT provided factual responses to questions with information that could be found broadly across public sources on the Internet, and it did not encourage or promote illegal or harmful activity. David, there's also a criminal investigation into OpenAI and ChatGPT on this shooting. Florida's Attorney General stating if ChatGPT were a person, it would be facing charges for murder. David?
A lot of questions here, and you'll continue to follow it. Thank you, Pierre. Tonight, a Houston husband charged with murdering his pregnant wife, appearing today in a courtroom in Italy, asking a judge there for asylum, claiming he's innocent. Lee Gilly appearing in that courtroom in Milan, fighting extradition back to the U.S. Authorities say he was arrested after cutting off his ankle monitor and using a fake name and passport to fly to Italy. If brought back to the U.S., he could face the death penalty if convicted in Texas. When we come back here tonight, Martin Short, the actor, for the first time on his daughter's death. Also ahead here, 6 people found dead in a shipping container, what we've learned about the victims. Also, the images coming in, there's a massive fire burning across South Florida tonight. A nationwide chocolate recall now expanding. And this is really something. Diane Sawyer tonight inside the hidden world of Richard Simmons. The final decade of his life after he disappeared from the public eye, and what Diane discovered when she went to the home where he lived. She was greeted there by the people who knew and loved him. In a moment. Tonight, we're learning more here after 6 people were found dead inside the boxcar of a train near the Texas border. Union Pacific workers making the discovery at a rail yard in Laredo. Investigators say the victims, 5 men and a woman, are from Honduras and Mexico. Authorities believe they all died from the intense heat. Tonight in Florida, wildfires scorching thousands of acres in South Florida. The flames here in these pictures from the Max Road fire in the Everglades. Thousands of acres destroyed already. A second fire in the Miami area, burning 300 acres so far. When we come back tonight, actor Martin Short, for the first time on his daughter's death. and Diane Sawyer and what she discovered after being invited to the home where Richard Simmons lived. To the index of other news tonight, actor Martin Short speaking for the first time on his daughter's death. His 42-year-old daughter, Catherine, died by suicide in February, opening up about Catherine's struggles.
And my daughter fought for a long time with extreme mental health, borderline personality disorder, other things, and did the best she could until she couldn't.
Short says the loss has been a nightmare for his family. Tonight, a chocolate bar recall expanding over salmonella concerns. Spring in Mulberry voluntarily recalling its entire lineup of date-sweetened chocolate bars. The FDA saying a date ingredient could be a source of contamination. The chocolate tested negative for salmonella. We have much more on our website. Well, the rooftop where the Beatles played for the last time will soon become a museum. The townhouse at 3 Savile Row in London. It's where the Fab Four put on a show in 1969. Police pulling the plug 40 minutes in, as you'll recall, the site becoming a museum showcasing several floors of Beatles history. When we come back tonight, Diane Sawyer inside the hidden world of Richard Simmons, the final decade of his life, and what she discovered at his home in a moment. Finally tonight here, a first look at the Diane Sawyer special tomorrow night, the hidden world of Richard Simmons, the final decade of his life after he disappeared from the public eye. He had wanted to do an interview with Diane.
The gate's open. This is the house that concealed the dark mystery, the 10-year disappearance of Richard Simmons. His hidden world exactly as he left it. No one has lived here since. His brother and sister-in-law have agreed to let me in.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Come in. Diane.
Welcome to
Richard Simmons, sweetheart.
I meet Lenny Simmons, just 5 feet of sunny energy. Energy like his younger brother. Lenny's wife, Kathy, says Richard had talked to them about our plan to do an interview.
He would call, guess who I talked to today? He was so excited.
And so I get my first look at Richard Simmons' hidden world. It's not what I expected. Above, vaulted ceilings, sky blue with fluffy clouds. All around, angels with wings and dolls. A kind of time capsule of childhood innocence and safety. And on one wall, a photo of that unhappy little boy at Catholic school in New Orleans, who against all odds turned himself into a human disco ball. Those tapes we will never forget. Sweatin' to the Oldies would gross more than $200 million. By 1980, Richard Simmons had also become a surprising TV powerhouse.
We're going to be going door to door, talking to people about various things, and look who I brought with me. Come on. Hi. There you go.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And how did that tiny guy with the halo of curly hair take his place alongside the Goliaths of fitness? Jane Fonda with her 25-inch waist. 1, 2. Look at the dancers behind Jane Fonda. Now, look at the dancers behind Richard Simmons. It was his mission to give people of all sizes enough hope to fight their way back to health.
We're all waiting for support from others, from a spouse, from children, from parents. And sometimes we don't get it. That's why God made me.
And then, in 2014, something strange happens. Richard Simmons goes inside his house and vanishes from the world.
Where in the world is Richard Simmons?
Something dark seems to take hold, making him afraid to be seen by the outside world.
Everybody calls it something different. His funk, his years of solitude, his decade of solitude. Nobody ever realized it was going to be 10 years.
What was it? We tracked down the people who know what really happened in that decade. Why, once, when he emerged for a hospital visit, he was shielded by a blanket. Why he would hide if strangers came into the home. Was it vanity? Was it fear? A kind of phobia taking over. Just before he was about to tell his story, there was a terrible fall, a tragic death. And his house manager, at his side for 36 years, sits down with us to speak.
When I come here, then I saw him on the floor. Okay, this is the first time I'm talking about this.
It's an incredible interview. The Mystery of Richard Simmons, a Diane Sawyer special, airs tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on ABC, then streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu. I'm David Muir. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.